Hello everyone, it is Jayden and welcome to The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button on the video, and if you enjoy my commentary and myself truly as always, be sure to tap that subscribe button and to hit that notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya. Arch Manning, he is part of the Manning family. He is not the son of the two NFL players, one who is a Hall of Famer, the other one should be in the Hall of Fame in the coming years. We are talking about Eli and Peyton Manning. It is their brother's son. I do not remember the guy's name, but go figure. Arch Manning has been hyped up, and he has, and I can attest to this. I think Arch Manning is easily one of the most hyped up quarterbacks to date, maybe since Tim Tebow. The dude's only played a handful of games, and in those games he started because Quinn Ewers hurt his wrist, and he did not play high-level teams. They played low D2 schools, FCS schools. But the way they were hyping up Arch Manning going into this matchup against Ohio State, they made it sound like Arch Manning was pretty much the best thing since sliced bread. Now, going into the game, you're going on the road against the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes at the Shoe. That is a daunting task for a kid who has sat the bench for 2 years. He's only started in, 2 or 3 games, the games that he was in for Quinn Ewers, and it was against low-level talent. So in the first official game he gets as the bona fide starter, he's going into Columbus, Ohio, 12 o'clock, the biggest game of Saturday, and he has to go out and play against the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. So go figure. What type of performance did we get from Arch Manning? Arch Manning was not good. He wasn't. Kurt Benkert, he pointed this out, and I noticed it. I don't know if Arch Manning's arm was hurt. I don't know what was going on with him. But he seemed off. His throwing motion seemed off. From the very first snap of the game, he skips the ball to a tight end or receiver. I cannot quite remember exactly who it was, but he was an eligible receiver running a corner route and just straight skips the ball short. So he was off all day. To get to the stat sheet, and let's look at it together. Arch Manning was 17 for 30, 170 yards, averaged 5.7 yards per pass, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Could have been 2 interceptions, but the player ended up dropping it on the Ohio State Buckeyes side. So there you go. That is a very alarming stat with a 58 quarterback rating. He missed a lot of gimme throws. Specifically, the last gimme drive of the game. Give kudos to Arch Manning. The drive before this, he leads a touchdown drive. Defense gets a stop, gets the ball back. You got 3 minutes and some change. 17-14. This is the type of drive you want to see your new starting, potentially rookie starter, even though he's not a rookie. This is his 3rd season, but he's got no experience in this type of situation. Go down and at least score a touchdown. 3rd and 5. The receiver is running a crossing route, pretty much a drag. Wide open, had plenty of space to go down the field, and Arch Manning underthrows him. Pass wasn't on target. Threw it on his right shoulder pretty much to where instead of getting it right here, the receiver literally had to twist his body, catch the ball right here. He wasn't able to come up with the pass. 4th down. The right tackle just did not get his blocking assignment at all. So the defensive end for Ohio State gets a free rush, and down goes Arch Manning. He ends up passing the ball off while he's getting sacked, but he was short 2 yards. So altogether, it was an abysmal performance for Arch Manning. Now, I had a big problem with this because everybody just went ahead to just pretty much write Arch Manning off, saying he was overrated, this and that. You know, he's a fraud. Look, the kid didn't ask for these expectations to be put on him. Everyone else in the media is the ones who put this narrative out there, saying that Arch Manning was going to win the Heisman. He's the Heisman favorite. This, and that. Best quarterback since sliced bread. Don't mean to be beating a dead horse here, but that's what they were saying going into this game. Paul Feinbaum covers the SEC for his job, for his career. And, you know, before the game, Paul Feinbaum pretty much said that Arch Manning was the best quarterback since Tim Tebow. That was very alarming. Very, very alarming. And I was sitting there like, for a kid who hasn't touched the field against a quality team yet, who we've rarely seen play, you're putting this type of expectations on him and making him out to be this type of figure. That was very questionable by Paul Feinbaum, and we saw how it ended up being. But that's neither here nor there. And then he had the performance that he had. A lot of people's been killing him, but I'm one of those, and I'm on this side. I think Arch Manning should get some grace. Because it's his first game. He is going up against the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes at the Shoe, 12 p.m. in your very first game as a collegiate starter against a FBS school. I don't quite know if in the games that he filled in for Quinn Ewers, if they did play FBS schools, but I promise you, if they were nowhere near the caliber that Ohio State was. Even though Ohio State had a pretty much whole new team on defense. Outside of that, they still had Caleb Downs and some other secondary, the number one guy, I do not know how to say his name correctly, but they still had a couple of guys who were on that national championship roster. But overall, it was a majority new players on the defense. But those guys are still going to be playing on Sundays. Majority of them are going to be NFL pros, potential Pro Bowlers. That's the type of competition Arch was going up against. And I saw all these people on Twitter trying to compare the Arch Manning situation to the Shedeur Sanders situation. And they were sitting there saying, oh, you know, they didn't say that about Shedeur. Shedeur went up against a TCU team who just went to the national championship, and he ended up beating them on the road 45-42. Yeah, a TCU team who many people didn't think should have gotten to the cup, got into the college football playoff, and got boat raced by Michigan in the national championship game. Straight boat race. Wasn't even a game. Wasn't even close. Not even close. So this is not equivalent to Shedeur Sanders beating TCU in his first start at the FBS level. Not even close. But I can tell you this, Arch Manning's got to get it together. He cannot, and I repeat, he cannot be missing those gimme throws like he was missing on Saturday against the Ohio State Buckeyes. I understand, big game. He looked timid in the pocket. You could tell he wasn't comfortable. The atmosphere was getting to him. All this is valid because the Shoe is one of the hardest places to play in college football. So me personally, I'm going to give Arch Manning a pass. But moving forward, and when he does play the next big school that he's got to play, and let's look it up specifically at their roster. Not their roster, but their schedule. They don't have a big game until Florida, October 4th. The next couple of weeks, the next 3 weeks are going to be tune-up games. So you got Florida and you got Oklahoma back-to-back weeks. Arch Manning has got to show up in those games. He has to. He's got to play better than how he played against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Because he has to, and I don't want to say he has to, but because the media has put him in this limelight, thinking like he is the next best Manning, because he has the Manning last name. So what do you expect? You expect success. Both of the Manning bros and Arch Manning. I don't know if Archie Manning is Archie Manning in the Hall of Fame. I'm not 100% sure. I think he is. Archie Manning. Is Archie Manning in the Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame. It doesn't look like he is. Okay, Archie Manning doesn't look like he is in the Hall of Fame. And we are talking about Arch's grandfather here. But outside of Archie had a very respectable NFL career, but he's trying to live up to the shadow and the limelight that the Manning brothers and Eli and Peyton Manning created. Peyton Manning, arguably a top 5 quarterback to ever play the game, and his brother Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls, beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl, and he is fixing to get inducted, although he was a more polarizing figure to get in. But Arch has to be better. And to a certain degree, I believe he has to live up to some of the expectations that the media has set. Not all of them. I don't want to put this Heisman expectation on Arch Manning. I think he just has to be decent. Because there's been all these conversations about him going to the draft. His granddad, Archie, over here talking about, he's going to stay another year at Texas. The way he played, it looked like he might want to take another year at Texas. Unless in the next coming weeks, when that game comes up against Florida and Oklahoma, two really look like they're going to be very good teams this year. He looks pretty darn good in those games. Then we might have to revisit this conversation. But as presently constructed, Arch has a lot of making up to do after this performance. A lot. And give credit to credit where credit is due. Matt Patricia, who is the defensive coordinator there for Ohio State, put him in a blender. An absolute blender all evening. Well, all afternoon. And a lot of people were making this argument with the Bill Belichick thing. It was like, oh, Bill Belichick, we'll get to this in the next topic. But, Bill Belichick's going to put I think his name was Matt Hoover, the quarterback for TCU, Horned Frogs, and put him in a blender. Yeah, that didn't seem to be the case. But obviously, Ohio State doesn't have the same personnel as the University of North Carolina. Okay, Ohio State is up here when it comes to talent and personnel. North Carolina is like way down here. But in all, it wasn't a good debut by Arch Manning. I expect him to be better, and one can only hope and surmise that he is going to get better. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He was one of my most interesting players going into the college football season. So I need to see better, Arch. I need to see better. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Did you think Arch Manning had a horrible game? Do you think he's going to be better? I want to know all of your comments down below.